Welcome to Baddie, a monthly podcast by For the Breast of Us, the first breast cancer community for all women of color, where we share real-life experiences, information, and education to help you live your best life after a breast cancer diagnosis.
Hey, everybody. It's your girl, Miss Eboney, aka Miss Hustle and Heels. And I'm back with another episode of Love and Cancer Friendship Edition, brought to you by For the Breast of Us, a breast cancer community for women of color. We are out here loving, supporting, and educating all the beautiful women that is out there surviving and thriving this journey. Now, while we're talking about it, I have another lovely guest and her friend. She goes by the name of Kimberly, and she and her friend is going to tell us about their experience going through Kimberly's breast cancer journey. So let's welcome Kimberly first. Hey, Kimberly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. So, all right. So we're going to jump right on in here. Now, I always start off with this is a club that none of us want to be a part of.
Right.
This is one of those, look, I don't need that invitation. I don't want it. But we are here now. And so, hey. So how did you find out you had breast cancer?
I actually felt my lump. I was taking a shower one day and just happened to run across, and I felt like some hardness, you would say. Not really so much as like a knot. It just felt like a lump more so than like a more profound knot. And I thought, well, I'm getting ready to have my mammogram in the next month. So I know if it's anything, they're going to, be able to find out what it is. So I was like, I'm pretty sure it's nothing. So had my mammogram, and once I got the results back, it said that there was a benign calcification in that same breast. Have your mammogram done in another year. So I was like, oh, okay, well, it is nothing. So 8 months went by, and I'm like, okay, this is still here. I still feel it. What's going on? So that was right at the beginning of COVID. And I brought it up to my gynecologist because it was time for my well woman exam. And I was like, I know that my mammogram came back, pretty much normal follow-up in a year. But I still have this, lump that I feel in my breast. So I kind of want to get that, rechecked out. So she went and pulled the report and was like, yeah, okay, I do see where they said a benign calcification. So she wrote the order for me to have a diagnostic mammogram and an ultrasound. And that's pretty much how it started from there. Had the ultrasound and the mammogram. They could see the mass in the breast. And then after that, they wanted to know, questions like, have you had any injury, trauma to the breast, any surgeries? Had none of that. Well, let's do a biopsy. Had the biopsy 2 days later. It was a Thursday, and I got the results back that Monday. So everything moved pretty fast. I found out on April 20th of 2020, and I had a double mastectomy May 20th of 2020. Then a month after that, started chemo. And then after that, I had another reconstructive surgery. So it was like within a year, I was done with everything.
Oh, wow. They did move fast.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you a question. How old were you when you found out? Like,
I was 40.
40. So that's when they did start the mammogram. Did you have any family history or anything?
No family history. I had the preventative that they give you when you're 37. I had that done, and that was normal. Nothing was found in it. And I had dense breast tissue because I was very top heavy. So I went in knowing that anyway. And then when it was time for the 40-year-old mammogram, that was right around the time that I did feel something. And so I had the mammogram on my 40th birthday, actually.
Oh,
And
wow.
then, yeah. And so when they said that, that mass, that same area was a benign calcification, you take their word for it because it's like they're the doctors. I don't know, the difference between anything of what I'm looking at. So, but once I still felt it and months went by, I was like, okay, it hasn't gotten smaller. So I think I need to get this, looked at, but never crossed my mind that it could be breast cancer at all.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what stage were you diagnosed at?
I was stage 1.
Yeah, well,
Mm-hmm.
that's,
Yeah,
well,
it was it when I found out, and like I said, everything was moving so fast. I had the MRI. I had an MRI is what I had, and they were thinking that the span of it was about 7 centimeters. And so they were like automatically, okay, you're not going to be able to keep this breast. This breast is going to have to go because of the the size that they thought it was going to be. And they were thinking that I was going to need chemo first. They were waiting for a genetic test to come back to determine that. And then they were also waiting on, the results to come back for like the HER2, what type of cancer it is. We were just waiting for all of that to come back and come back in. And so once we got that back, my genetic test was fine. My HER2 was equivocal, so they had to send it out for a FISH analysis, and then it came back negative. So we were just waiting on basically the MRI to determine, okay, will you need chemo first? Because if it's that large, we need to be able to shrink it before we try to cut it out. But I was like, we don't have to do any of that. If you're taking one, you're going to take both.
Right.
I was pretty much, had made my mind up. I didn't really have to think too much about that.
Wow. And that is a speedy journey, like boom, 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 boom. And so when you found out, like, who were some of the first people you told?
When I found out, I was actually at work because we were working remote at that time. It hadn't been decided if we were going to stay remote, but we were remote at that time because COVID had just started. And so the first person I told was my coworker because I had to give, pass my work to her. And I was like, I just have to go. And then when I got off the phone with her and then my supervisor, I called my supervisor right after that. And she understood, of course. She was like, yes, do whatever you need to do. And then that's when I called my best friend. And she was on her way to work. And she was driving in. And we were expecting the results. But I literally was not even, really worried, I'll say. Like, oh, I'm dreading Monday coming. I was okay. I was like, hey, friend, and I called her. She answered the phone and want to take her now.
So this is best friend, right?
Yes.
And what's crazy is y'all look like y'all could be sisters for real. Like literally, I was like, well, maybe she gonna say, yeah, it's my best friend, but she's really my sister. So how long have you guys been friends?
My son was 2 and he's 20 now, so 18 years.
Oh, wow. Well, they say the longer you stay around people, the more y'all start looking alike.
That's right.
You can't tell me y'all wasn't kin.
Yep. So I called her and I said, friend, I said the results came back. I have breast cancer. And she was like, what? It took her a minute to absorb, what I had seen. And then after that, she just lost it. Like, no. She didn't go to work that day, needless to say. Right. She called her boss and was like, I'm not coming in today.
Right. That's a processing moment. Best friend.
And we had actually, her job that she was going into, we worked together at that same office. But I ended up transferring. So her boss already knew me because she was my boss at one point. So yeah, she told her, hey.
She already knew.
She already knew.
And it's funny because y'all call each other friend and best friend. And that's what I call that's how I be called my friend, girl, guess what?
Yep, that's what we say, friend.
So friend, Miss Letitia, how? So your best friend calling you and is like, "Girl, guess what? I got breast cancer." What went through your mind?
At first, I couldn't hear her, and it was more like, "Friend, we talking like 7:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I have cancer." What?
Right.
I have cancer. And my initial reaction was denial. Like, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. This is not what you're saying. And she actually had to kind of calm me down. Believe it or not. She was the calm one. And so I pulled up at work and I was like, I have to call you back. I need to call the supervisor, my supervisor at the time. And I told her, I said, I can't come in. And I told her, I said, Kim, I just got the phone with Kim, and Kim told me XYZ. And immediately the supervisor began to pray. She began to pray. And then the waterworks started. And then I'm like, okay. And I was at the parking lot of the job. And I politely put my car in reverse and knocked on Kimberly's door. Like, I'm here.
I'm like, well, what are you doing here? When my doorbell rings, I'm like, I'm expecting company. Like, if my doorbell rings, I know, like, oh, but if it rings, I'm like, is that Amazon or what's
right? Shout out to Amazon.
So I was like, who is that? And so I go to the door and I'm on the phone with like the nurse navigator, and I'm like, what are you doing here? And she was like, I had to come. What you thought I was gonna be? I wasn't gonna be anywhere else.
I couldn't be anywhere else.
Right. Oh wait, I just love it. Oh, so breast cancer, like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's something like I saw on TV. I knew in October we wear pink. But my knowledge of breast cancer really didn't go beyond that.
Mine either.
Which in our community, we should really know more about it, because we might not be so prone to get it, but we always usually find out later. So we definitely need to know more. Yeah. What has you all's experience been, or knowledge been, prior to Kim's diagnosis? Like, what was your knowledge? Did you have, what was your extended knowledge?
We both work in healthcare.
Yeah.
So the little knowledge that I had was just what you said. The commercials, we wear pink in October, or we would have a patient that would come through and get genetic testing because they've had a family history of it. But and outside of that, do your monthly checks. They encourage you to do it in the shower. Outside of that, that was it.
Yeah. And you knew like stages 1 through 4.
Right.
Just basic general stuff that we hear from other resources. I didn't have a family history of it. She's had relatives like from cousins and things that have had it, but still to know like the in-depth of, there's a type, there's different names, there's subtypes, all this stuff you literally have no clue.
Knowledge of. Yeah, my knowledge came when Kimberly was diagnosed, and I learned a whole lot. Like whether it was like hormone induced or it was so much, because every time Kim would find out something, she would share that with me, and then there would be times where I was overwhelmed with it, and I'm a hypochondriac as well, so I would just get nervous at the slightest. And every time I heard a commercial from then on, it was like, no, I was overwhelmed. I was just overwhelmed.
And I never paid attention to breast cancer commercials until it was like everyone was back to back. Yeah. And I was like, I've never seen so many commercials. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. I couldn't turn even I think it was a Dove commercial. It was a lady that had a single mastectomy. I had never seen that commercial before. Never.
Well, I probably had seen the commercial, but never paid attention to it.
I knew I hadn't.
It was a Dove commercial, so that's. But after Kimberly pointed it out, I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, like you guys, it was like I would turn on the TV, and it was like every movie, every show, and I remember making Facebook posts like, if you are a writer out there, please, there is 80,000 different diseases out there. Please pick those and stop picking oh, the mom had breast cancer.
Exactly.
The aunt had breast cancer. Oh, they had cancer. For a while, I stopped watching TV, period.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, this is just too much. This is too much. So Kim, I mean, not Kim, but Letitia, I knew you were just like, I got to be there for my friend.
Right.
But I know you said it is very overwhelming, and it can be, because, you know, it's supposed to be, we tend to put all the focus on the patient, which is where it should be. However, we don't take a chance to broaden that scope and look who is surrounding that person and being their support system. So where did you pull your strength and your support from while trying to be a support or being that support Kim needs?
So, funny story. We have another friend. She had ovarian cancer. And so once Kim told me about her diagnosis, I called that friend, and she told me, she looked at me. No, we were on the phone. I'm sorry. She told me directly. She said, you better get it together. You need to get it together, and you need to get it together now. And the tone that she used and the verbiage, it snapped me. It was like,
yes, ma'am.
Okay, pretty much like, yes, ma'am. So between that friend and then seeing how strong Kim was, you had no choice but to be strong as well and be supportive of her. And I remember having a conversation with Kim. I said, you know, I told you something, you're going to have your bad days, right? I said, and it's okay to visit those days,
but don't stay there.
But don't stay there. Like, I didn't want to take her away from her moments, because the reality of it is she's actual person dealing with this, but I didn't want her to take up residence there and stay. Like, no, I didn't want her to get depressed and be in a dark place at all times. So between that particular friend that told me to get it together, and it was about Kim, and I need to, you know, be her support, and then seeing how strong Kim was, that's where my strength came. Because you were really strong.
I was, up until they told me I needed chemo. I was okay. Yeah. I was fine. I was like, I'm ready to, let's do this. Like, you ready to fight. I was ready to go. Even when they told me you might have chemo first, I was like, okay, if we need to do that first, I'm ready. And once I had my mastectomy and I knew I didn't need chemo first, and I was like, okay, now that I know that it's gone, it's removed out my body, you didn't have to wait on, you know, the oncotype where they send off a tumor itself, and it has to have its own little testing and all that. And that's when I lost it. And I think that's when I became more aware of how serious like this was, because when they told me, okay, your oncotype is like between, if it's under 25, that's okay. That's where they want it to be. It's a little, you know, lower risk. But if it's over 25, then that's when they're like, okay, the word we dread, reoccurrence, you know, your reoccurrence. Yeah. And to me, that's when I was like, wait, what?
Right.
Reoccurrence is higher. And that's when I just lost it. And they were like, we're gonna, you know, you're gonna have to start chemo. And how they actually did it was the oncologist office called me before I even got the results of my oncotype. So when they called me to schedule an appointment, I'm like, why am I seeing y'all?
Right.
And when they called me, I instantly called my breast surgeon. It's my breast surgeon. And I was like, you know, my oncologist office just called me. And she was like, they actually beat her calling me, because she was going to call me with my oncotype results. And they beat her calling me to make the appointment. And she was like, yeah, it came back. She said, but it's low. It was 28. But to me, it's high enough for you to say I need chemo.
Right.
And you're telling me that my risk of a reoccurring is higher than someone that's below 25.
Right.
So I broke down then. That's when I started to kind of lose my ground. And I remember telling my dad, because my dad heard me crying, and he came in there, because I was at my mom and dad's house a lot, because my mom was my caretaker. She was, you know, with all of my surgeries and everything, I would stay there because I couldn't really do much. So I would be there, you know, at home, so I could have more help. And my dad came in and was like, what's the matter? And I told him, I just found out I need chemo. And he was like, baby, it's going to be okay. And I could just remember saying, I don't want it. I don't want it. And he was just like, it's going to be okay. And because I related, because we don't know, you relate chemo to that's the end. You're
right.
That's it. Right. That's all there is after that. Like, you're going to continuously be fighting for your life. And that's how I felt at the time. So it got ugly after that. And then that's when the waterworks came. It was
like reality hit you, just like, oh, reality. No, this is real.
This is real.
And so Letitia, like, how, like, during that period in that time, how were you there to support her during that time?
She would. I can remember.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I didn't realize you were talking.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, I wasn't there physically because she was at her mom's and dad's, but it was every day. It was every day. Friend, do you need anything, friend? Can I get this? Can I do that? She went through a bit of a hard spell. And I remember one time, it was after her surgery, I believe. She had to go to the ER, and I had just gotten off work. And because we were in the pandemic, it was only one person allowed, and her mom went with us. And so I got off work. I went, picked her up. Took her to the ER. I sat in the car for about
5-6 hours.
5-6 hours. I waited. That was no problem. That was no problem. I waited, made sure she got back home, talked to her. I was praying. I was standing in the gap. I was constantly praying. Like, Lord, I know you are a great physician, God. Use your word, because hey, this is what you said. And you're not going to get me Kim, and you're not going to take her from me, Lord. And you're going to have to give her the strength and the peace that surpasses all understanding. Yes. I was calling down fire. Like, I need you, Lord. And so when I would talk to her, I would hear a difference in her voice sometime. I remember when she cut her hair. When she cut her hair, I didn't want that to happen. She was like, but it's shedding, friend. And I'm like, that's when it kind of got really real for me, because I'm like, I don't want to see her like this.
Right.
Because then that was her reality. Like, this is for real. That's kind of where that came into play. And I was like, but I have to, because it literally, I was sending her pictures like it's literally coming out. We comb our hair and you see a few strands here and there, but this was more strands. And I was like, I don't want to wake up and see a patch of hair on my pillow.
Yes.
And I'm going to just say, because we have such a close relationship, our relationship didn't change at all. It maintained the closeness, because we talk anyways all the time. That's just what we do. And once we're on the phone for hours.
Yeah.
Like, okay, my phone about to die. And then I'll charge it up and call it back. So that didn't change. None of that changed. So outside of her being diagnosed, everything was basically the same. Nothing changed. Yeah. She didn't really have the need like that, other than when she went through her hard moments. Then she would call me, and she struggled with her faith at one point. And she know who to call. She called me, and she was like, "Well, friend, God knew you love him. You don't think God is not surprised by this?"
Because I just thought I was fixing to die and go to hell. I was like, God, I'm struggling right now, and I have faith. And I was like, God, I believe in you, right? Like, and I called her like she about to petition with God for me, like, he do know, right? He do know,
right?
He was like, yes, you his child. He know you,
yes, and none of this takes
surprise. He knew you was gonna struggle in this area. And one day, it was like I couldn't breathe, and she was like, go outside, take a walk. I want you to listen to the birds, look at the sky. She was like, all of that is from God. She said, so that's how you know.
And given the fact that you're able to do that, that means you still have purpose.
Yes.
You still have purpose. And she did just that. And she came back in, I say now. And she just had her moments. And I can tell when she would actually have a moment, because she'll call me anyway. She don't care daytime, noon, or night. And I'm the same with her. It's reciprocated. So 3:00 in the morning, I'm calling. Such as her. When she had her moments and she would call, then I knew, okay, let me go into my prayer. And then I would ask God to give me the words to give to her. Because yes, I was still struggling on the back end, because this is true. Like, okay, this is for real, right?
Right.
Like this is
Right.
happening, right? And I would be like, Lord, you gotta help me. You gotta help me help her. Give me
That's
strength.
wisdom.
Yes,
That's true
yes,
wisdom. When you
yes.
don't have the words to comfort your friend in her time of need, God, give me them words to tell
Yes.
her it is gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
One day she told me, I was in bed crying, and she was like, "Friend, it's God. He don't have to play around with you. If
Thank
he
you.
wanted to take you, he could take you."
Blink of an eye.
yes, yes,
Why you think he
yes.
gotta give you
And I was
5
like,
years, 6?
"Yeah,
I'm
you
looking
know
for
the
my
point.
church stand.
He don't have to play around and let you make it through hours and hours of surgery."
Yes.
He didn't. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the honest to God truth.
Mhm.
Like, why are you sitting up here thinking, no, it's God? You gotta remember. Come on now.
Mhm.
And that
And I
made
was
you
like,
think.
"You got a point."
Right, right.
Mhm.
Because people don't, I think a lot of, because we see what's on TV, we
Mhm.
see the commercials, and a lot of people, like I tell people all the time, like this is not like the common code over in a couple of weeks or a couple of days. Like this is real.
Mhm.
And a lot of people just think, oh, cancer is physical.
Mhm.
But no, cancer it's mental. You
Mhm.
go through mental battles. It's more mental than anything. And
Mhm.
then that mental start playing on your emotions
Mhm.
and even that spiritual time.
Mhm.
Because like if I read my Bible
Me
and
too.
would be praying, but would look in the mirror, especially when my realization was when my hair came out.
Mhm. You know what?
And
Our hair is serious.
our hair is serious. And I had braids. Everybody was like, cut your hair, cut your hair. I was like, I'm not cutting my hair. I'm not cutting my hair yet. And like I had braids in at the time, and
Mhm.
my braids detached from my scalp.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And when I would look in the mirror and I didn't recognize Ebony anymore,
Mhm.
that's when I was like, okay, no, this is for real. And
Mhm.
you know, when you have those people on the outside looking in and don't really know you, they're just like, well, you know, you believe in God and God said, you ain't gotta tell me what his word says. I'm struggling right now. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, you on the outside looking in, but it took true friends
Right.
like Letitia be like, girl, get it together.
Mhm.
Because if God wanted you, he would snatch you up right now. But you're still here. And you're
Exactly.
still
Amen.
here not
Mhm.
only for, you know, people like, oh, you're here for a reason. No, you are here for purpose. It's
Right.
something for you. It's something here that he wants you to do.
Mhm.
Like for real, for real.
For real. For
So,
real.
yeah. So even if it
He
says
know I
something,
need
Like
you.
too. Mhm. I
right.
was gonna say, he knows too many people depend on me.
We really do.
Right.
We really do.
Right.
Like, who gonna remember her social security number?
So who is out of you two? Who is the funny friend?
Me. I'm funnier.
I'm the funny one. And she failed to mention she fib a little bit.
I what?
You fib.
Oh no,
You just told a story.
not true.
No, honestly, Kim is the funny one. She really is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the quiet friend?
I
Kim.
think yeah.
Until she gets to know you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it depends on, because she'll talk to, every time we go somewhere, a trip or whatever, she meets somebody, and I'm like, do you know them?
No. Now I do.
But yeah, I would say I'm more quiet, but I do tend to talk a little bit more now because we've been friends for so long. But when we worked actually together as best friends, I kind of picked up on that. So I'll talk more now to strangers than I used to. But yeah, I would say I'm the more quiet one.
We've swapped roles in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like Kim is quiet. She used to be the quieter one, but now she will talk. Kim is the one that's going to always try to prove a point, her point. Me, guess who's trying to prove a point now? And she'll have to tell me, you sound like me.
Yep.
And I mean, Kim would tell from the boss, the CEO, it's like, Kim. I told her one time we was working together, I said, you gonna get us fired. But now, guess who's trying to prove a point? Me.
Yeah, I'm honest, Abe. It's like, don't ask her a question if you don't want to know the answer.
Hey. And who's the planner? Who likes to make the plans? Because it's always one of them.
Kim.
I'm that one too. I'm like, so this is what time we're gonna do. This is our itinerary. I break it all down.
Yeah, I'm the planner.
I'm like, get up and go.
Yes. Even she talks about me even preparing my food. I have to prepare my food before I eat it. She just go in and dig in.
I mean, it's right there.
It don't taste the same.
Eat. But no, she have to prepare it and cut it up and
have it all set nice.
Separated. Oh yeah. Okay. What are some ways that you now have that you show support now, like post diagnosis? Like, what are some ways? What are some things that you do or just kind of remind her of?
So, for instance, yesterday was her 2-year anniversary of being diagnosed. 3. No, yes, 23. It's 23. Yeah, 20. And I knew it. For the first 2 years, I sent her cookies, and I would say, you one tough cookie. I said I wasn't going to do that anymore. I said last year I told her that, and so yesterday I waited. She didn't say anything. What time did I text you last night?
It was like 10.
I said you did good today, friend. She already knew what I was talking about, and so that's one. So, and then every year since her diagnosis, she makes it her business that we go on a trip. So we've been to Denver, we've been to Mexico. Yeah. She's trying to get to the Bahamas. Yes. So eventually I'm sure we'll go there.
I have so many places I want to go to. But definitely being more
we do our cancer walks.
Yeah, we do our cancer walks now. Yep. You know, even when we went to the very first one, both of us, it was like, wow.
The number of
people that were there. It was like, you see it, you hear about it, but it's like really be there, and I didn't even think I was going to get emotional, but once I walked across the finish line, I got emotional, and I'm like, where is coming from? But it was really amazing that very first time. But I think we've made it a point to really be more in the moment, in the now. Because like we'll have or try to plan more get-togethers, whether it's just us two or our other friends that we have, just really spending that time, with your loved ones pretty much.
Make it our business to love on one another.
Definitely make it your business. I say intentional. That's the word.
Yes. Because time isn't promised. And I tell people that they just, and they kind of look at me, but I was like, it don't have to be cancer. It can be anything. You can step outside your door and something can happen. So time is not, time, the next second, the next hour, none of that is promised to none of us. So we definitely have to be in the moment and show those who we love and know who love us that, hey, girl, I love you.
Exactly.
But I do have to say, and I am thankful. Probably about 2 months ago, you asked me, you was like, friend, does it bother you? And I said, can I be honest without sounding selfish? And I told her, I said it does, because it makes me think about the reality of it all.
I think it was was it a walk?
The walk that's coming up next weekend.
Yeah. Because she wasn't sure if she was going to go to this one. And she said, and I kind of knew, because she was like, oh, you doing the walk? And she didn't really, talk about it too much. Yeah. So I was like, I think it bothers her. And so I asked her one day, and I was like, can I ask you, does it bother you, about the cancer walk? And she said, can I be honest without sounding selfish? And I was like, of course. Right. And she said, it does. It makes me sad. And I said, I don't want you to be sad. And I told her, it would not offend me any kind of way if you do not come to the walk. Just be ready to go eat after we're done. because we did that with the first walk. You know, we all went to eat afterwards, and so I was like, just be ready for that. And she was like, she felt like it was being selfish, but then in my turn as a friend, I have to understand how that makes her feel. I don't want her being sad. You know, it's a walk. I have a track outside my neighborhood. We can go walk around it if you want to.
I still signed up for it.
She, you know, did still sign up for it, but I did tell her, I was like, you don't have to, you know, and I think that's where we know each other and where our friendship comes into play, because some friends in some of the groups that I was in on Facebook, some of them I had to leave, but you would be amazed at some people that friendships broke up. Relationships broke up, and they were like, one of my friends, she had a friend that was like a best friend to her, basically was like, you're just capitalizing off your diagnosis. Like, you just using that to suit your needs. You're done with treatment. You good. You fine.
Oh, wait.
And we never had that issue. Never. The only thing she didn't know was that, okay, I'm going to have an oncologist and a breast, you know, doctor that I have to see for the rest of my life. That's just what it is, because they want to make sure that, hey, I'm good for as long as I can possibly be. So another friend may have been offended, like, well, why you don't want to go with me? This is about me, you know, but no, I'm not going to be like that. Why would I want her to be somewhere that's a trigger for her and make her sad just to support me?
I didn't want you to undergo any more surgeries either.
No, she didn't.
But it was because when she had her D-flap.
Yes. So the last surgery that I just had in December of last year, it was another reconstructive surgery. And it wasn't going to be that long. She did not want me to have it at all. I was like, friend, it's going to be fine. She was like, no. Because a lot of my loved ones lost it. When I had my deep flap surgery, you know, which is where they take your abdominal tissue and reconstruct your breasts, that surgery, it was a 10-hour supposed to be surgery, went to 15 and a half hours. And they, after about, I think 8 o'clock, they didn't know what was, they didn't know what was going on in the surgery. My mom was literally there from 6 o'clock that morning until after 11 o'clock that night when I got out of surgery. She didn't eat. I didn't know none of this at the time, of course, but she offered to bring my mom some food. She was like, no, I'm fine. I told her.
And they didn't say nothing. They didn't come out and be like, hey.
After 8 o'clock, that's when she stopped hearing. You know, they would have like the nurse circulator come out and give her a follow-up. But after, like, you know, I guess the hospital kind of closes and shuts down, she wasn't hearing anything. And she lost it. She was like, my child is back there and I need to know what's going on. And then she said she heard a cold blue or something, and she was asking them, what was that? Like, my child is back there in surgery. What was that cold blue for?
Right.
So that's why, you know, she was nervous about me having surgery. I say, well, friend, it's not going to even be half of that time. I can promise you that.
That anticipation of that 15-hour surgery did it for me. I'm like, you can't have no more surgeries. No. And she was like, well, I said, friend, leave it alone.
Yeah. Because I had, you know, this indentation that was in my chest. And I told her, I said, but I want this gone. You know, I didn't want that dent in my chest. And she was like, but who sees that? Who knows that? And when I said, I see it. And that was when she understood, like, you know, I know, I get it, but I just don't. And I said, and I know how you feel. I know why you don't want me to have it, but I'm going to be okay. I promise. And I was like, Lord, please don't be okay. I done promised I'm going to be fine.
But you all do bring up something that I haven't heard amongst the couple of the podcasts that I've done, and like everybody, oh yeah, because, you know, I'm supporting an agreement or whatever. But the fact that, you know, hey, I really don't want to do this walk. Not that I don't want to support you, but that's a trigger for me. You know what I'm saying? And you being okay with that, and like people don't really talk about that. It's like, oh yeah, we've been all cupcakes and rainbows. And you have to realize what's a trigger for them and what's a trigger for you.
Exactly.
And be okay with that.
Because
like,
they went through it too.
They've gone through it too. And they don't know all the verbiage. They don't know all the terminology.
Right.
You know, you might wake up one day and be totally fine. And then in the next day, you going through a mental battle out of this world. But until they call and talk to you, they don't really know. And to have that bond and relationship, to be open enough to be like, hey, I don't want to go. Is that, you know, is that selfish of me? And you saying no, because for some people that would have been like, I just think, you know, she's not being supportive of me. You know, they just ain't being supportive. And I've been there for them.
Yep.
Okay. But you know, that is, it's very important to know, like, yeah, you are the one that's going through, but also consider the feelings of those who are your ride or dies, who are there for you, because there's certain information that I call and I wait to tell my best friend because she's the super sensitive one. Super sensitive. And so when I'm like, okay, I have to deliver this in a way where I can deliver it in doses
and have more information, because they're going to
have more information because she literally calls me, and she doesn't live here. She's in Vegas and I'm in California. And she battled for a long time because she left in June or July of the year I got diagnosed, and I got diagnosed in December. And she's like, if I would have just never left, I was like, best friend, that was inevitable. You know, and so to know that, you know, when I tell her certain things, because she's by herself, to be able to process it to where, because she's just like, I haven't talked to you in a certain amount of hours. I just need to see your face. Now that I've seen you, I'm okay. I'll get off the phone. But I think that's very important, and something, you know, being able to support your friend and listen to them and still be able to validate their feelings, because they have feelings too.
Exactly.
That's true.
That's very true.
And people, they don't, you know, because you got some selfish, and I really don't, it's not selfish, because I've told people that, you know, on this journey, you learn to be selfish, but not selfless.
Right.
And yeah, but I could go on a whole tangent with that. Okay. So what is one word that you would describe your friendship as?
One word?
A gift.
Oh. I was gonna say unbreakable.
An unbreakable gift. Oh, I just love it.
That's a good word, friend. She good with her words.
Okay, ladies, last question.
Okay.
All right. So the name of the podcast is, of course, Love and Cancer, right? So finish this sentence for me. Love is.
Love is
God.
Yeah. Love is respect. It's not boastful.
Love is support.
Love is kind.
Come on, 1 Corinthians 13.
That's what I was thinking. It does not end itself.
Yep. I'm gonna put the cash out for donations.
Right, pass the collection plate. Look, you can cash out for ad. Well, ladies, it has been a joy being on with you guys. I've really enjoyed this time with you all.
I did too.
Thank you for showing, because it's gonna be on YouTube, and of course it's also gonna be listening. And you guys have definitely shown like the epitome what a true friendship is, and like an understanding bond, because social media shows so much, and it is not real.
Right.
Cutthroat, like they be on like popping bottles, and then in the next minute you really go look, and they be like, girl, they wasn't really friends. Or then
taking trips and everything. Y'all,
hey sis, under the comments, good and well, and that's as far as their love and support goes.
Exactly.
It's under the comments. But what you ladies have shown today is 1 Corinthians 13 type of love, understanding, and true friendship and sisterhood, and the gift of having an amazing friend that can tell you, hey, look, be in your moment, ride it out, but let's get it, because God has you, I got you, and honey, you are here for purpose. And in our community, this is what needs to be shown. We need more of this shown, not that fake stuff and filtered stuff,
authentic
on social media, but authentic, genuine friendships that know how to be there for each other through the good, bad, the ugly, and indifferent, and still be like, girl, we might have had a bad time yesterday, and you might have said something to me, and I might have said something to you, but hey, we are here. I'm sorry, and I love you. And being present in the moment. So I want to thank you guys so much. And for all those who are tuning in, I want to thank you for joining us. It has been a pleasure. And I want to, when you hear this, make sure you send it to all your friends, and your family members, and your coworkers, and your cousins, and them fake cousins you got. Show it to all of them, and all of that good stuff. And guys, until next time, I am your host, Miss Eboney, aka Miss Hustle and Heels, and I will see you, and I hope you be blessed. Until next time, guys. Bye.